where we take American culture, flip it on its head, and diagnose the issues with our populace. I'm here today with my co-host Prince. I'm Korin, and today we got a good show for you today. It is our pilot episode today. How you feeling about that, Prince?
Doing pretty good. Let's see where it goes. Let's see where this goes.
All right, let's see if we get damn to hell. All right, so first topic is just so I'm just trying to explain what the podcast means to me. It might mean something different to Prince, might not. But basically, the Rebranding American and Culture podcast, it is about trying to enter the idea of conversation back into the public square, talking about culture and politics, where I feel like that has been a disconnect, especially between the two sides, as it appears that we're coming more and more to debate and gotcha questions rather than genuine conversation and understanding. How you would feel about that?
Hmm.
And that's a good diagnosis.
Yeah, I fall in line with it.
All right, Prince, the first question today and question to the people down in the comments is what is your political view and what led you into taking it? Whether it be you are political or non political.
Well, I'm not a political person, as we both know. So I don't really have a stance in politics. I don't really believe in.
Prince,
Hmm,
you might have cut out there.
oh,
There you go.
I don't believe in leaders. I don't believe in leaders, kings, queens, presidents. Um, what's the other ones? Dictators. I don't believe anybody being above everyone else. So what led me there is I feel like we can all just function on our own, but I forgot people don't have common sense. So I guess that's not really something that we could do. I hope though. I have hope. We can all just we can all just
That's
learn.
true. I think when you say it like that, you sound like an anarchist.
No, I don't want anarchy. I'm not saying, oh yes, everybody blow something up. Like I've
Listen,
had people
anarchist.
I've had people tell me that before. Like I don't want no order.
I think anarchist is more about dethroning it
No,
rather than just like wanting to have as least as possible.
no, that's not what I want to do. I just like I'm not saying I don't want order. I do want order. I don't want chaos. I don't want to be an animal. I just don't want one person over
Yeah,
everybody. It just doesn't really make sense. Just have a team. Plus, like, is it? I don't believe. Is this, who makes the decisions? It's not the president that make the decisions.
yeah,
So what is he there for?
yeah. But yeah, my political it's first episode. Okay, so my political view is I am a libertarian conservative, and what led me into it? I guess like first off, well, when I first got into politics, I was the typical African American. I was a Democrat. I believed basically everything the people around me told me. And as I grew up, I sort of fell into like this depressive state where like I realized that a lot of people just live life thinking that the color of your skin or like the way that you think is all that dictates you. It's like, oh well, like if you're black, you gotta act a certain way, you gotta think a certain way. And it was just that sort of rebelization as I realized, and I was pushed more towards things like libertarianism and conservatism as I realized, like, it's not really about the color of your skin, it's more about the ideas that you hold. Like, it shouldn't be like the collective should not diagnose what the individual is as a person. And I feel that's what really pushed me towards it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, our next topic is what is the current issue with American culture, and what do you think is the best way to change it?
Well, what do you think is the best way to change it?
What do you think is the issue?
I'm just
I wouldn't say current issue. I'm sure there's a lot of issues, but I say what's like the largest and most definitive issue
for whom?
for like American culture as a whole. Not American culture, like just America. I think because for me, I'd say responsibility.
Elaborate for
I
me.
don't
What do you mean when you say responsibility?
like. I think like right now we're currently growing up in a culture where responsibility takes a back seat. Feels like you're like constantly being told, okay, do what you want, do what makes you feel great, do what you want to do, and then like think about making these responsible decisions either never or later. It's almost as if though responsibility has become an oppressive thing, and when things are oppressive, you're supposed to fight back against them. And so it feels like now we're falling into more hedonistic pleasures. I think that is not going to result in a long term. I don't think it's going to result in anything good at all.
What do you mean when you're told people say, do what you want, do what you love, and ignore responsibilities? Who told you that?
Who told me that? That's an interesting. I don't think it was like one person. It feels like now in like the social square, it's more like what's a good example? Let's say I don't know if I'm allowed to say this word on YouTube, but sex, right?
Okay.
Like nowadays, it's like have sex with whoever you want, do whatever you want, and if you are if you're to disagree with the idea of just being able to have sex with whoever you want, whatever you want, like fast and free, without any like emotional baggage, you're like there's something wrong with like that state or notion that perhaps maybe if you're gonna settle down and have a sexual relationship with someone, then you're obviously gonna need to well not you don't need to, but you need to it's better for you to have emotional connection or a relationship or like stuff like that rather than just getting your rocks off. Like the separation between sex is supposed to be like the coming together of two beings
Never have
and
we ever
to
supported Betty Boops.
well not us but culture and society now.
Nobody with common sense supported Betty Boops besides Amber Rose, but look at her. What type of
Well,
role model is she really gonna be for anybody?
common sense ain't common.
No, it's really not. I don't understand why people think you could just hop from one body to another. We not rabbits. We're not like I don't understand what we're
I don't think
doing here.
rabbits hop to one party.
No, they don't, and that's the thing. They animals, right? And you would take that from
Yeah.
you would think an animal would do it, but we supposed to be humans. I don't understand what happened and where we got lost at. Like I don't know where to see that, but I want us to get like they should just take some people back because I don't understand why they just think okay, I'm gonna go to this person and this person. It's like whack a mole, and they just whacking everybody, and then they wake up with 6 different STDs. But I mean, hey,
Yeah, it's just like okay, and it's like a couple years ago, like you remember the slut walk with Amber Rose and all of them.
yes,
And it's like basically, if you don't agree with like things, like you should be able to have like sex with anybody and however many partners you want. There should be no cultural judgment, or there shouldn't be any cultural or societal standard. Then you're somehow oppressive or
the problem I had with
patriarchal in
the
nature.
problem I had with that is that it's Amber Rose. She could do whatever she wants to, right? She could do whatever
You
she
say
wants
not
to.
everybody Amber
Right? Think
Rose.
about it like this, right? Imagine you take somebody like Amber Rose and somebody from one of our communities, not like not saying like the hood or anything, just one of the like the ones that doesn't
Just
have
the average
that's
person.
not as financially stable as Amber Rose might be. Not because of anything that she did. She's not special. But let's see. You take somebody from one of us and they look at her and like, yes, okay, that's right. And then they do what she does. Now, see, they have 7 different kids, 7 different baby daddies, and she only know 2 of them. Amber Rose could do this. Amber Rose, she can go with whoever she wants to, and they'll be fine. Her kids will be fine. Whatever she does, be fine. Whatever mistake she made, she'll be fine. Somebody that's
Yeah.
below will not be fine. I don't. And then you have to think about it, right? Amber Rose, what type of role model is she? She embodies
Well, apparently she embodies women's and human empowerment because you should be able to have sex with whoever you want,
no.
whenever you want.
Okay, okay, right. Okay, so if a man says it, what we're wrong and we're animals and we're pigs if we say that, but if she says it, it's just amazing. Yes, it's
I think some people
innovative.
don't.
It's great. Look,
I think some people think.
male or female, you shouldn't do it. You just shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I think we should preface that, like, even though we're talking like mostly in terms of like females, it's because like we like girls. Like I think a lot of people like they bring up the argument like, well, oh, if a girl does like this with so many partners, she's a hoe. But if a guy does this with so many girls, he's a stud. I've never agreed to that type of thing. Cause it's just like, listen, it's like both of y'all can catch STD if y'all sleeping around a bunch of people. So if somebody I know is out here talking about how many girls they sleep with, I'm not gonna be comfortable or like supportive of that because like, bro, you might catch something. Like the life is a lot is a dangerous game now.
I've had a cousin who, like, cause I've heard like if females do it, it's wrong. Males do it, it's right. No one says that. I've had a cousin that's been with multiple different females, and I called him a hoe. So I'm just kind of just like, no, just because your what gender is not the same doesn't really mean it's going to be the same. It's not going to be the same result. Male,
Yeah,
female, I see it the same way. Most people probably see it the same way, but males don't care. Females get self conscious
yeah.
about
But I
it.
say if I were to put it into a biological standpoint, I could see like the difference you could create because like like back like we were like cavemen and shit like like dudes like were breeding with as many females as possible because there was a chance that well there was a very likely chance that your kid was going to die, so you would breed with as many women as possible in order to make it likely that your generation will survive to the next era. But with women, you always can only get pregnant by one person
Now, you could always say this, right? Would you rather have
at a time.
would you rather have a key that opens all locks?
We so misogynistic.
like, actually, no.
Choose your next
We're
words
not gonna go
carefully.
into that.
That's funny. Yeah, like if you were to play devil's advocate, I could see like the biological difference. That might be an argument, but still, it's like in the modern society, like listen, I don't care how many people you mess with, but like you can like expect not to be judged. Like that's the big thing with me. It's just like it's a free country. Do what you want. You can go to the back alley, blow three dudes, and keep it pushing. But if I see you do it, or you tell me about it, and if I'm wrong because I judge you because you chose to act in that behavior, and I'm somehow wrong for doing it, I think that's where I see like the big like disconnect. Like I don't think that makes sense. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I get it. I get it.
Because it's like I'm not about to go smash three females and then be proud of it. Like if you go do that, that's cool. Do what you're gonna do. I would suggest going to a
Bro,
clinic,
I'll sit back and think
but
about life after one.
you want three?
Like, I don't get it. I don't know how. So like, I don't know how you could be male or female. I don't know how you could go through multiple people and just think, yes, this is the right decision. This is the right thing to do. I'd rather run through Chicago than
To
test
run
that
through.
theory. I would really rather run through Chicago. I'd rather stay in
You think it's
Florida.
safer to run through Chicago?
I'd rather stay in Florida than just hot body to body. No.
And like I'm not gonna sit here and deny that people do think that way. That there are like I've met men who do think that way, that oh, it's cool if I do it, but female does it, then it's wrong. Like it's a double standard that does exist, but I think for the most part, it's still wrong either way. Like I choose to surround myself with people who agree with me, at least on like basic concepts, not politically, but like it's something basic like that. I think people can all see, like, you know what, maybe there shouldn't be a double standard there.
So let's see. Here's this just sparked a thought. Do you believe that men and women are different but equal?
That is a dangerous question. Uh, but yeah, men and women are different. Like they're equal in terms of standpoints of rights and as in terms of the levels of humanity. Like they're both like human beings, and men and women are very similar. But like the thing is, we're not completely the same. Like we are different. We're more similar than we know than we think. But in terms of our differences, there's a large gap between our differences. Like if you were to take a statistic, like let's say both men and women are like say let's take the topic of aggression. If you were to look into the middle, it's going to be pretty mixed. But if you're going to look onto like the most like aggressive people, those are probably going to be men. And if you look at the least aggressive people, those are probably going to be women. That's just a fact of life. Not to say there's not very passive men and very aggressive women. There's plenty of them. I've met them before. But if you were just to take the spectrum, a large majority, let's say 80%, are going to be a mixture. It's going to be 40-40. But if you look on those opposite sides, chances is there's going to be majority on one side or the other. And that's just like for all types of behavior.
Now, my thoughts are that men and women are not, we are different, but we are not equal. Well, how do I say
Really.
this? All right, because, okay, so have you seen Avengers Endgame? Yes. Now, there's
Yes.
a scene in the movie where they go to Tony Stark to learn.
Choose your
No,
words
listen, listen.
carefully.
It's going. This is because it's not me saying that they're not like they're. It's not me saying that they're like inferior. No, this is what I mean. It's like in the movie they went to Tony Stark to learn about time travel. Right
Yeah.
now, they did not go to Bruce Banner, who knows gamma radiation. They went to Tony Stark, and then they went to Bruce Banner and Eaton, who was better suited for the situation.
But those were two
No,
dudes.
two dudes. Yes. So if you use it here, right? Okay. So here's a situation.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm a nurse, right? So would you rather have a male nurse or a dude nurse?
You mean a female nurse?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude nurse or girl nurse? Male nurse, female nurse. I would rather, me personally, I would rather have a female because I've been around females my entire life, so I would work better in a situation. Um,
Yeah, like I've always had female doctors or female nurses, so from my lived experience, that's what I prefer.
right,
But
okay. How about kids?
I don't think it matters. What you mean?
Now, like if you have a kid, most situations, the like in situations where it's like not so, yeah, social, not social, yeah, social, or like caretaking. So not funeral homes.
But like you're talking about like how typically women are the ones that are like it's socially okay for women to be like caretakers and like people who interact with individuals, especially younger
Yeah,
kids,
because
and how it typically isn't.
men are just here to pick stuff up.
That's not
I mean,
true.
like in reality, it is like okay, it's like really, what is
I think that's simplifying, oversimplifying down to just the complete to one aspect of our
so?
biology. It's not just picking
Okay, no,
stuff
I
up, but
changed it.
if
I
you were
changed it. I changed it. No, men and women
okay,
are equal, but you have situations where one or the other is better suited for a situation.
like give me an example.
Give you an example. I mean, let's see. Who do you know more, your father or your mother?
I think I'm a special case in this situation. But my mother.
Okay, a special case. I'm not. It's just like in most situations, like in certain situations, I'm more comfortable with a female in any situation than I am a male.
Really?
Yeah, males are
That's
like
interesting.
threatening to me, and they're like not threatening, like not worried about they doing anything to me or threatening like me as a person. They just seem like if I'm looking around in a room of people who might do something first, I'm looking at every male. I'm looking at a female. Like males
Really?
cause like I don't if it's like that's what I mean like caretaking, social problem, like anything that's not work. I would rather interact with a
Which
female. I don't want to interact with a male. That's weird.
you
Cause like I don't see men like so. I'm not saying that they're unable to. Cause I know I guess like motivational speakers and all of that are like that connect. But I'm more comfortable with a female.
would you say that it's because of your lived experience, because like a social norm?
Social norm. I don't know anything about social norms.
Like it's like say like you got a preschool teacher.
See here,
If it's a female, it's cool, but if it's a dude, it's people think it's creepy or
nah,
weird.
I wouldn't care. But
Because like in my lived experience, I say I'd be more comfortable with a female doctor because that's not what I've always had.
people say that
But if
a male preschool teacher is weird. That's creepy.
yeah,
I mean, like
yeah, people think it's weird for men to want to have that type of. I guess the best word for it is relationship. But it's also kind of weird to say it like
they
that.
think he
But to
touching the
have a,
kids or something.
I
I
guess
mean, nah, if you think about it like that, yeah, it's gonna be creepy. But
but yeah, it's like people are not saying that it doesn't happen, but I think there's like this stigma that if something's gonna happen in terms of sexual nature, sure, it's gonna be the man who engages it versus a woman,
but that
which is it's kind of sexist in a way.
that's like saying a kid can't have a male doctor and give him a physical because they touching on him.
I don't know. I wouldn't want a male doctor giving me a
Nah, I
physical.
wouldn't either. But like, it's just like that's just like it's just the jobs is what they're doing. But in the situation, yeah, that's what
Yeah,
like I said, women are. That's what they're for. They're more in like say those type of situations with kids. I don't see males being teachers until you get to like high school. Because then they get to yell at you and treat you like a bro and a Negro, depending on how you want to act. Yeah, I
really.
mean, I've never like
I've had male teachers in middle school. They
yeah.
chill.
You had a male preschool teacher?
I didn't go to
Me neither.
preschool.
But look, like the first right, like Star Wars, right? Then when
And I've had plenty of asshole
in
female
Star
teachers.
Wars, the kids were taken away from their mothers, right? And the mothers
Okay.
they give their like they're better. They're for the care like the caretaking. They to care for the kids. They nurture the kids. It's like that's who they go to. Like even like in animal
Yeah.
situations, like lions and the lioness and their cubs. Like that's where that's them. Males, not so much. So it's like they're better suited in different situations.
I wouldn't say they're better suited. I think, well, I guess in some cases, yeah, I would say that, but I don't think. But yeah, like I'd agree with you. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with like the opposite. I think it's capable. It all depends on just your mannerisms, like your psychological makeup. Because like you know how like a majority of
Are
men
crazy.
enjoy things. No,
If
I'd say the
they
opposite. But
touching
hey,
kids, you gotta be a special breed. Cause this is my first time hearing
females
about
touch
this.
kids too.
Here's the thing. Every conversation, everything I deal with is it's like I'm just learning. Right now, I'm learning. I like we say
Yeah,
social norms. I don't know what social norms is. I don't pay attention to it. So that's just a different. It's a special breed. That's something crazy.
it's because like there's like a basic concept understanding that most of the time men are more interested in things while women are more interested in people. That's why you see more women going into things like psychology and the social sciences, while you see more men going into things like math and STEM, because there's a separation. So I guess since that's our norm as humans in general to see someone who bridges the gap, we find that weird. Like if you're a dude and you're more interested in people, that's gonna be different and weird to some people because that's not the norm that humans typically follow.
I'm more interested in people, so I don't know if I should be offended or not. Uh,
Are
yeah,
you?
I would. I'm not. Or my early days, I was pointed towards becoming like a psychologist or a therapist of some sort. Finding out like I enjoy talking to people, though I'm scared of
Yeah,
talking to people because I don't know how to human correctly. But I do enjoy talking to people and finding out how people how their minds work, what makes them tick, and things of that nature. That's like amazing to me. That's great for
yeah.
me. So
I agree. I agree. I'm more balanced in terms of the way, and like in a sort of weird way. Like while I do like agree with you in terms of like as a career status, like things like motivational speech and the concept of social sciences and psychology are very interesting to me. I know. I think I realize in certain ways because I'm also interested in things like technology and things that are more focused on actual things and concepts versus people and their type of concepts. I feel like sometimes I'm trying to like learn how to make people fit into the concept of things more often to make them be more like I guess you would say predictable because like with a machine typically it's going to be predictable. If I tell a computer to do this it's going to do that. If I tell a human to do this, well they might do something else, so they might do it a different way than what I thought they would. And I can see myself sometimes trying to make those two worlds collide. So I say I'm more balanced in terms of that. But I do see what you're talking about and being more interested in people. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Uh,
I mean, it's
so
bad
yeah,
for
it's
me
just different. What you mean
because
it's
my
bad for you?
mother has openly said that she believes I am manipulative.
Hmm.
She said I am manipulative and I'm not bad, but I'm sly.
I would say that people who are more likely to be interested in people are going to be better manipulators. I wouldn't say that you're just manipulative straight off the bat.
I don't even know where she got it from, but because I don't talk to her. I mean, I do, but not a lot.
Maybe maybe that was her not being able to comprehend the idea of you being more interested in people rather than things. And maybe that was sort of I wouldn't say rejection, but just yeah, I guess I could say rejection, but like not in like the colloquial term where it's like rude, but just like mentally you just they weren't prepared for it maybe. Yes, you could say. But you know, it's interesting. And but yeah, bring around topic like we started off like what is like the biggest problem with American culture? I said responsibility. Do you think you like have found something or would you like build off of my terms of like responsibility being the issue or do you think you found a different concept that might be the largest
Well, I
issue?
have yet to fully understand what you mean when you say responsibility.
It's like rather than how do I say it? 'Cause I guess I'm operating out the pretense of there being some sort of basic comprehension, but I'd say there currently I think that is describable in current society and younger generations is that responsibility is less of a factor and taking a hedonistic pleasures and things that you enjoy is the focus rather than being responsible or following a sense of duty.
I think the reason why I'm not understanding is because my entire mental has been set around setting and accomplishing goals, having something to do in dealing with what was to be done. So throughout life, our responsibilities was probably school. Now,
Yeah.
throughout my entire life, I'm like, all right, school, go, graduate. So whenever I had a graduation or something like that, when they be like, "Oh my God, congratulations on graduating," like this year, like that's like, "Oh my God, you graduated high school." I just saw it as, "Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how it's supposed to go." I,
So you have a sense of duty. Like you have a natural sense of duty that you can
yes.
attribute. So perhaps that's why you don't see it as much as I do. Because I do in a certain way, but it's like I'm more like able to like as a person, I'm more able to like look into. I wouldn't. Are you? Would you say you're a very empathetic person? Well, I don't know if it's empathy or apathy, but I'm able to like see how other people function and like how other people. Because I have a sense of duty in a way, but like for me, my sense of duty is never like told or like it's never like something that's like expected. Because like when it's like people have like you said you have a sense of duty to complete school. Like this is what I'm supposed to do. So I don't see a reason. For me, it was like completing school. Like it was sort of like an after image, the idea of learning. So I felt like it was my sense of duty to learn things, and like completing school or being good at it was just something that happened because of that sense. So it's always been more of a concept rather than a unique goal. Like I think for me, my sense of duty comes from concepts rather than goals. Like I want to like say I want to write a song or something like that. My sense of duty is I want to learn about a genre, learn about the different types of music in order to write the song. So like my concept is to learn and the song is going to be created as an end result, but that's typically not what I set out to do. It was to learn
So
about it or to better understand it.
your the word you were looking for was empathy. For you, empathy, which is
Let me
the
let
ability
me
to understand or share the feelings of another. Me,
I can understand. I don't
me,
share
no,
it.
I think it's like either or both. But me,
Yeah, but
I'm apathetic. Apathy, lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. Feeling indifferent and lacking emotion. That's me in most situations. Why? I'm not. I would really wish I could tell you, but I do not know. I've just been set up that way.
because I can see myself as being rather
So,
apathetic. Why does it say apathy? It's a medical condition. I just looked it up because I can see myself being rather apathetic. I don't care,
so the thing is,
but I can comprehend it.
I just everything that I've ever done I've always seen as this is something I was supposed to do. Whenever I've been congratulated on something, this is
Yeah,
something I'm supposed to do. Honor roll, I was supposed to do it. Get A's, I was supposed to do it. Graduate, I was supposed to do it. So this year, it was no different from any other year. When I got a job, I was
yeah,
congratulated. I'm supposed to do it. Now, am I supposed to stay there? No. You're supposed to continue on and grow and expand. That's how I see it. I'm not supposed, like I don't want to be at a job
yeah.
still at the age of 30, right? Um, will I be there? Maybe if I live that long, but I don't want to be at a job still at the age of 30. Now,
Knock at wood.
me, I just like I said, I set goals and I set out to
Yeah,
accomplish it. Responsibility is already involved in that, right? It's already set in. So it's already like
mm,
stamped in my mind. So it's not an option to not do it. But something like then you have responsibility. Like some of them are more important and greater than others. So some they just kind of just end up in the dark
yeah. Would you would you say you have a reasonable amount of self
in
control,
terms of what emotionally or like what are we talking about?
just in general? In general, so encompassing all things of like emotional, physical things that.
Yeah, I have a decent amount of self control. It takes a bit to really disrupt the natural flow of things for me.
Okay, so let's put it in a different. I think that the concept of self control is something that isn't championed or expected nowadays. Com- Compared to well, you should have self control. You should understand how things work, and like you should move throughout the world as you see. not as you see fit, but you like your basic goal is to comprehend the world and to input your place into it and to move in a way that is responsible and that pushes you towards your goals rather than someone who might have a lack of self-control and where their focus is rather than being responsible and achieving goals, it's more about getting that next dopamine rush and focusing on feeling good and living life more in the moment rather than focusing on the here, like you're here now and what can you do to move on forward. They're stuck in like the here now and like they're living the life in the moment.
That's a J. Cole song. It's the line where he was like, it showed the difference between the Pretenders and the Kendrick Lamars. It's a difference, like that's just, it's like just there's two different lanes to go into. It's either one where you
Yeah,
lead yourself to success, or one where you lead yourself to follow everyone else's failure. Like you're just going down. Because if that's the path you're going down, then that means those who came before you also went down that same path. Because that must have been what you saw and what you just assumed was the right thing to do. So me, I had
I say to a degree. I think you're more likely to follow a path.
I don't know, man. It could be a choice, like games. People say it's not
Yeah,
a choice to be in the game. I would say it's a choice to be in the game.
I would say it's a I feel like that's a thing that gets attributed because we're both black. Uh, but I think that's something that gets attributed to not lesser communities, but communities that are less advantageous in terms of material wealth. Like you'd say, like because like the statistic is the average black person is less wealthier than a majority of races in America. But it's just like when like people like input things like, well, I didn't have a choice to sell drugs or join a gang. Well, you had a choice and like you had opportunities, but due to like your social surroundings, your economic surroundings, you were more likely to make that choice. But that doesn't mean you didn't have a choice as a person. Like just because you were in less than perfect standings doesn't mean you lost the ability to see
Right.
right or
But
wrong.
that's more of a subject we would talk about on the following episode.
Yeah,
The point that I was getting to was like how people say it's like you make certain decisions which lead you to wherever you end up. So the people who you know their only focus is the next rush of whatever that may be. That's because whatever they
yeah.
did prior to got them there. They wasn't they wasn't made for like they wasn't made for anything else but that, or not necessarily made for it, but they wasn't bred or prepared for
They're not
anything else
thinking
but that.
about
They
it.
wasn't prepared to do
Yeah,
anything else. They just set up and formed around that idea and stuck with it. Now, there's a Marvel character. I keep in like including Marvel people and Marvel things, but there's a Marvel character. His name is Apocalypse. It's a mutant. Now his
yeah.
his 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 thing is survival of the fittest. Right, strength. Those who get to the top and those who falter. Not those people who ignore responsibility, no sense of duty. Those who just fail, they are gone. They disappear. Those who rise beyond whatever happens, they're evolving. You either evolve or you disappear. So everybody else, they're just it's I wouldn't say that this is becoming a more disappearances than evolution, but
I would
I
disagree.
can see where you could, because I feel like there's a lot of people who are growing out of it, and like as
Yeah, I think there's some people who are growing out of it. I think there's a lot of people who are living in like as you would say to the point of disappearing or have accepted it or it's so like it's more okay to be like it's like say between holding down a job like like the basic like because it is like a basic study where it's like to get out of poverty you gotta graduate high school, keep a job, and don't have kids till you get married. And instead of doing things that will push you forward towards keeping that goal, there's some people who live life who are less likely to take those roads. Like instead of being responsible, like holding a job and like working towards improving your financial wealth. So that might mean working a night shift or working extra hours or just trying to improve your social standing, social and material standing. Well, I'm not going to pick up that next shift. I'm going to go hang out or I'm going to go to the club and hey, my lights get cut off, but by next check, it'll be fine. There's things like that. It's not a great example, but just a lot of people make certain choices that end up being a negative factor for them in the long run. And I feel like you're more likely to make those decisions nowadays because now it's more socially acceptable. Like, hey, I'll have sex with a lot of people because it feels good. And if I happen to get pregnant and have that kid, well, oh well, you can choose to like abort it or you'll just keep it and
Yeah, I
possibly
can see that.
neglect it.
My problem is more so with, so you have those who make bad decisions in life, right? See, I know like a hell of a lot of people
Yeah.
around my age who got kids right now, and those who's under my age who got kids right now, and they shouldn't. But
Wait, what?
that's not what we're talking about. I feel as if my problem lies with people who allow fear to be an obstacle.
A
Yeah, fear
determining
that's
factor.
stopping you. Like, why are you scared? Like, I always hear like,
Yeah.
here's something small. Here's a small thing, right? And it doesn't. It might not apply to every situation or everybody, but it's just like the first example that came to mind. I talked to a lot of people that I know that'd be like in terms of leaving their family, right? They always they come to
Yeah.
me like they always explain to me a situation, explain to me the problem, and it might be like one of the points where it's like you have no other choice but to leave, or one of the points where it's just like, well, I mean, it's happening, you could deal with it. Like I know it's a situation where it was like they're basically a slave at home. They're basically a slave at home, and I'm
Jesus
like, all right,
Christ.
well, leave. No, I'm scared. Like I'm always like I don't understand like this fear that we create for ourselves shouldn't be a thing. I'm not saying run head on into everything, but like fear should not hinder you. Cause what are you really scared of?
Yeah.
That's not self created. What are you really scared of?
That's probably like,
Right.
well, if it's like to that degree, like what you're saying, like, perhaps that's Stockholm
Maybe.
syndrome. Like maybe like even though the conditions are bad, it's stable. And so you're like a lot less likely to want to leave and go. Cause like even all right, so let me just preface it. So like how some people see the world like black and white or black, white and gray, stuff
Yes.
like that. I see the world in terms of order and chaos. And now neither of those are exactly good or bad. Because from chaos comes creativity and ideas, but it also comes chaotic and unorganized situations. And order comes stability, rule of law, things like that, but also comes tyranny and dictatorial things. So they see, so even though like it's a very ordered filled thing where if they feel like a slave to the home or like they are living in conditions where are like a slave in their own home, well that's a very rigid and form of order where it's very stable. And so well now they've adjusted and grown up in this stability, so the idea of going into the unknown and accepting chaos into their own stratosphere makes them scared, even though from chaos comes good things or it's bad things. They're only focusing on the negative. Like there's too much order to the point where it's come tyrannical.
Okay.
But should always like weigh your options. Don't run head first because there's a fine line between good chaos and bad chaos. Like you might have an idea or like you want to do something, and that's a great idea. But if you don't follow the necessary steps, like you need to have one or the other. So you have an idea that is birthed from chaos, but you have to follow an orderly line in order to get to that goal by like setting goals and setting midpoints. So you're creating all these goals for yourself from the idea. But if you're just going about it abashedly, you're just like right to left, front and back, you're just going on about life, just in like a crazy pattern, and not establishing goals for yourself and creating order, then that idea will just become nothing more of an idea or a dream, and it's gonna
What
haunt you in
about,
the long
okay,
run.
so your stance? I would like to know your stance on emotions and how it controls people. Like I feel like people, those who act on
That's
emotions. Like recently, I acted on emotion, and
yeah.
multiple, many people do. How do you like? What? Where do you stand on? Like, how do you feel about
Well, personally, in my lived experience, I've always been a very logical person. Like, I've always been focused on the ins and outs, cost effectiveness. Like, what is like, if I do this, where is it going to leave me? And like almost everything. And some people act off emotions like, well, how is this going to make me feel? Or like they're not like adding a logical sense to the word, not to the word, but to the whatever thing they're going into. And I think that it's important to have both. I do think that it's important to be more logical in your life in general rather than just focusing on your emotions. I think focusing on either to an
not
extreme
focus on emotions,
is
but in a
very
situation where, okay, so let's see, anger, a great
yeah,
deal. Like, I don't know if people, great deal of people. I know I have. I know people who have dealt with anger management situations, issues. So,
yeah,
in a situation where your anger leads you into a different wall, like you hit one wall, got angry, and now you're at another wall,
yeah,
and now you're just constantly on the decline, and the decisions you make
yeah,
of um aren't of your own really. It's more so of the in the moment spark. Like this is this. Like it's like a flame,
yeah.
and every decision you make is just you taking the paper, looking at it, and tossing it into the flame, watching it burn, and moving forward. So in a situation like that, not really like controlled by every like sense, like not like thinking how would I feel is in the situation, but those who are
But you're letting your emotions guide your
in certain
decisions rather
moments,
than
yeah, how would
your brain. I think I can relate to that because I have anger issues myself, and I think like the best like the solution for me because like there are a lot of situations where you should be angry or you should be mad, and that's perfectly fine. Like there's gonna be situations where you're gonna be angry. That might be the appropriate response, but I think as well as like holding those emotions, even if they're validated, you also have to act on the guise of logical reason. Like, okay, I'm angry. Why am I angry? Is it justified? Okay, now with this anger, what is the proper response? Say you see somebody bullying somebody or like attacking somebody. You're probably going to be angry because you don't think that person should have a right to exert their will upon another person unjustly. So you're like, all right, I'm angry. I'm probably gonna go put a stop to that. All right, so you validated that what's happening is wrong. You have a pretty just reason to be angry, and you're going to go about this and try to solve the issue. Now, you could, like, depending on the situation, like, say, if it's happening, someone's like getting pushed or shoved around, you could pull out a gun and shoot the guy. That's a very strong emotional response. Or you could go and be like, hey, what do you think you're doing? Like, you still, like, you have to, like, even if you're going to act upon an emotional response, you should still be able to logically take in, like, what is the justified amount of force? Like, what am I doing in terms of like how is it going to affect me in the long run? If I go and I go address the situation or I go like push the guy back, that's a lot different than me going out and just grabbing a gun or something, shooting him. And it's like an extreme. It's just Some people actually do face that type of situation where it's just like, what is like the justified amount of, like, how can I logically diagnose what's the justified amount of force or the justified amount of emotional response towards a situation? So I think, like, you can have both, you can operate them both, but you can't let one control the other. Like, say, like it works in terms of like the opposite too. Like, say something's happening, like say a family member dies from like something that was within their own control. Like, say they went and got drunk and then drove and crashed and they died. You're not gonna go to that relative and be like, well, you can be like, well, he made a decision as a fully capable being. He made the decision to get drunk and then put himself in a position to drive, and he died. So boo hoo, oh well, that's his fault. You're gonna probably be more likely to try to comfort that person, because at the end, if you take this very logical response, that's not gonna help you in the long run. It's only gonna hurt them. But if you use your emotions, like you be like, all right, how is she gonna feel if I, like, how is she gonna feel when I say this to her? How am I gonna feel after I say it? Is there any like positive solution to if I say it a certain way or act in a very logical and straightforward sense? Things like that. It's like they both have reasons to be stronger than the other, but they should always be as close as possible to being balanced.
Okay. And how would you go about dealing with it in the future? Right, it's a difference between if you go through it, all right, and this is controlling you now, and then and then you
Yeah,
recognize it and you don't do anything with it, and then and then as opposed to you recognizing it but you don't know how to deal with it. So for someone who, if someone was searching for help and they come to you and like, Korin, what should I do?
yeah.
Well,
Like, what do
okay,
you
so
mean? Like,
situation.
give me an example.
My brother makes me angry. He poured milk on my PS4, so now it's broken. Right? And now my job calls me into work and they say they want me to cover for someone else's shift. I go in already like frustrated, pretty frustrated, and then a customer comes in and they just
Yeah.
piss me off. So now I'll just quit, leave, walk out, gone.
What should they do from that point on? Uh, you know, I think that's a very important thing to learn about controlling, like, your emotions. Like, you can't let them stack upon each other, because in a normal situation, if a customer ticks you off, you're not going to just up and quit. But due to a situation that happened before, you're going to be in a heightened state of emotion. So I think is in that current situation, I would call your job, apologize, explain the situation, try to get your job back. That'd be a good idea. But like, I think important for us to like create parts of ourselves that are able to balance our worldly situations, because you have every right to be mad at your brother, but you shouldn't be taking all of that anger there and then bringing it into the workplace. Because even if somebody's being annoying, like, they might have done something and you might have like misunderstood them, or they might have just been like a little bit annoying because you're already in a heightened sense of emotion, you're gonna do a more angry response. You're gonna do a more extreme response. So I think it's important for us to learn how to balance our emotions, when we're in different situations. It's like, yeah, you have every right to be angry at your brother, but that anger from your brother should be directed at him, not directed at a customer, especially when you're at work.
Lead us into the end.
And we are wrapping towards the end. Uh, the last topic I had was, if a national disaster were to happen, how do you think? discounting this one, but if there was like a like very like because like this one's like sort of like something that's like happening and like it's like continuing. But like say like something like a terrorist attack were to happen and a lot of people die, like say like 9/11. How do you think that would affect America? Like, how do you think? What do you think that would like divide the two different sides of the political spectrum? Do you think people will be more likely to come together and ignore the differences? Like, how do you think it would affect America as well as the two sides of the political
So
spectrum?
you said if uh if a disaster happened similar to 9/11, where a great amount, like a large amount of people died,
Yeah,
what comes after this?
like, how do you think it would affect America, Americans as a people, and how do you think it would affect the two
So we're
sides of the
talking
political
it's a
spectrum?
terrorist attack. That's what we're talking about.
Like yeah, say like it's like because like a terrorist attack is different from like a pandemic because a pandemic it's like it's ongoing, but a terror attack it's quick, it's fast, it's sharp, and it's very noticeable. Like that's like when 9/11 happened, it wasn't like that happened in hours. It didn't happen in months and weeks and years. Like it happened, this large thing happened right then, right there, very quickly and very noticeably.
And on the political spectrum,
Like
as in what?
Like, how do you think that would affect, like, not like trying to be very specific about how it is affect conservatives, how it is affect liberals, but like, do you think, just like in general, in terms of like people on different sides and just the American people in general, do you think, like, what do you think their response would be? Like, do you think it'd be different compared to how it was 9/11 compared to now? No, because like when 9/11 happened, people like they were scared and they were like, they became like a lot closer. And like, I feel like because like this is like a secondhand experience. This is what someone has told me, but people were more likely to see how the other side thinks, and they were all in a combined effort. Like, do you think that if something like that were to happen now, we would be more likely to combine as a people? Do you think it wouldn't change us at all, or do you think it would
No,
divide us further?
we can't come together
What do you?
now without a terrorist attack. So just because somebody thought it was a good idea to go boom boom on our side of the country doesn't mean anything is gonna change between us. Like then was that was a different time then, a very different time from like what it is now.
Yeah,
People get mad and hate you over you simply saying, "Oh, I want this white man over this white man," or "I like I like this show over this show," or "I'm straight, you're not." Like no, it wouldn't. That nobody's gonna come together. Will you be scared? Probably, but it's been terrorist attacks for the last 10 years. Before that too, not terrorist
but there
attacks. It's been
hasn't been
terrorist
one this
groups
large,
for
and
the last 10 years. No, so like the
yeah,
terrorist attacks, it hasn't been one as large as 9/11. Yes, but there's been like that. That's been happening. It's been groups already. Groups have been forming. If we were gonna be scared, we should have been scared beforehand.
yeah, but like there hasn't been something that's been large and sharp. Like how you saying like, oh, there's groups forming. Like yeah, they're forming, but it's like that's that's not a that's an exponential graph. Like it's going up slowly. It's not like it was here, now we're there. It was here, and then we made our way here. It's not we
But
were here, now we're
with
there.
or without the groups, or with or without the attacks, if we can't come together without, then we're not gonna come together with. Like if we already went through one, or not one, but multiple different attacks already, leading up to where we are now, leading up to this year. Not saying it happened this year or last year, but just the ones that's been with like in the last
Yeah,
however many years. If we just like came together within those few months after, okay, boom, okay, we're gonna come together. 6 months ago past. Okay, we hate each other again. There is no real true unity going on. It's just we're together for now to prepare for if it happens again. Oh, it's not. Let's go back to being comfortable.
yeah,
Let's go back to being comfortable with not liking each other. Let's go back to being okay with okay, I can hate you for whatever reason or like whatever the case may be. Like even though we're bigger than this and there's a bigger situation, some things far worse going on, I'm gonna dislike you because you're straight. I'm not. Or, like I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I think for like if you were like to look at the two extremes, I don't like nowadays. I definitely don't think if something happened, like if something happened like 9/11, like the far right, because like these like we're talking about like the extremes. Like I'm talking about the extremes right now. Like the far right would be angry at brown people, and like the far left would try to ignore the fact that it came from like because I'm like we're talking about like an Islamic terrorist attack. So like the far left would be mad at brown people, and the far left would try to ignore the fact that it came from Islam, how that might possibly or that specific country or people might be a problem. So I think in general, like the basic American, just average American person who isn't super political, I think there might be some unity there, but I do think that there's definitely going to be a separation in between people who are more politically inclined. Do I think that's a good or a bad thing? I'm not sure. I think overall it's not a great thing. I wouldn't know if I would say it's a super bad thing. I think at the end of the day, this country does need unity. I think we're gonna have to. It's gonna take a lot to bring it back to the point where, like, the general just idea of conversation and doing the Socratic method. I think it's gonna take a lot to get back to that point. I think that we're far worse off without it, but I do think it's possible to come back from it. I think it's gonna take some. It's gonna take a lot of great people,
It's
but I think it's
possible,
possible.
but anything's possible. Just a matter of if you're
True.
going to allow the possibility to come to, what is the word, fruition? Allow it to
Yeah,
blossom, or
fruition.
will you sit and be the reason why the possibility stays a possibility?
Yeah, good point. But I think that means we're coming
All
to a
right.
close. It's been about an hour now. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Starting from next week on forward, we're going to be trying to invite one guest on, or possibly multiple, but at least one guest on, because, like, in this podcast, we have one conservative, one person who is non political, and we're typically going to have people who disagree with me or possibly us. It might not always be that way, but we're definitely going to. We're opening the door for people who might disagree with us, whether it be me, whether it be Prince, both of us, people who just want to have a good conversation. We're not trying to do a debate. There's no gotcha points here. We're just trying to have a genuine conversation. It's two people who might agree or might disagree, or there might be a little push and pull. But we're just here to have a great conversation as Americans, as people who want to see this country prosper. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next episode that'll be coming out next week. So thank you guys so much.
Peace.
See you next time.